John Blowers. John experiences unfunded mandates through a few lenses. As an HR professional for more than 20 years, including 11 years with GE, the first local employee at Global Foundries, and currently HR Director for the Americas for CG Power Solutions, John sees firsthand the result of unfunded mandates in the business community. For the past 6 years, John has been a member of the Board of Education of the Hills-Ballston Lake Central School District, and he's intimately familiar with the challenges unfunded mandates create for public education. Please join me in welcoming John Blowers.
Thanks, Lisa. And I'm proud to be here and stand united with you today against unfunded mandates. Jim and I have had several conversations about this over the years, about how it's impacting public education. I want to share with you a little bit today from that vantage point, and I'm thrilled that my daughter Annalise and my sons Ben and Max are here today. These are the 3 elementary-age kids, and this is part of the reason why we're out here today, so that future generations aren't going to go through what we've been going through relative to unfunded mandates. Pete Lopez talked about the building over here, State Education Department, and they literally flow with unfunded mandates. Just this week, students across the state were taking 4th grade and 5th grade and 3rd grade ELA tests. Great test. Nobody's going to argue that we shouldn't do those kind of things. But the way we process the tests, it's mandated by the state and it's funded by the local districts, and there's smarter ways to do it, but we don't have that local control to exercise that. Just an example of how things happen like this. Mark and Dan mentioned about analogies and metaphors. Today, the state offers about 30% of the funding for schools. About 30 years ago, they would have offered about 70% of the funding. So you can see that downhill trend. Yet, more than 70% of our budget is dictated by unfunded mandates. This is sort of like somebody walking up to you and giving you a $100 bill today, and then telling you to buy one of those garbage cans for $250. That wouldn't sound like such a good deal, would it? So let me tell you about a few examples of unfunded mandates in public education today. And I recognize not a lot of you are in school governance, so I'm going to try and put this in maybe a business scenario for you. Suppose you're a business owner and you had to pay an additional 15% on every capital improvement because of something that the state mandated, and it was based on a special interest group you neither belonged to nor was in your area. Suppose you had to negotiate with your workforce, and if you couldn't come to an agreement, then your workers were guaranteed raises in perpetuity. That's what happens in education. Suppose you had workers with special needs, and you knew how to address those needs in a smart way, but you were mandated to do it a different way, so that cost became your fastest rising line item in your budget. And suppose you had better ways to purchase services and materials by partnering with other groups, but outdated legislation didn't allow you to do that. Well, folks, that's exactly what we're facing in education. A couple of examples. The Wicks Law. Wicks Law is something that drives up the cost of construction at school districts by about 15%. This is exclusive to New York State. No other state in the union has such a provision. In Burnt Hills, we're currently working on $13 million of projects that our voters authorized to do critical infrastructure repairs, such as replacing 50-year-old boilers, 50. We could do $2 million of extra work at no cost to the taxpayer if the Wicks Law was not applicable to school districts. Now think about it. Burnt Hills is about an average district, and there's more than 700 school districts across this state. If every district could do that, that's $1.5 billion of additional work that could be done to fix our schools at no cost to the taxpayer. That's work that's going to make our schools safer for our children. It's work that's going to improve the education delivery for our students. And it's work that's going to create jobs. Another one I'd like to talk to you today is about the Triborough Amendment. Triborough Amendment is a subset of this thing called the Taylor Law. And effectively, it's another New York State exclusive. We're the only state in the union that has it. And it means that if you have a teacher's contract and it expires, that the raises keep going until you can negotiate a new contract. Now you can probably see right up front how this might be difficult for negotiations, because one side of the bargaining party has a little bit of an unfair advantage in that situation. Currently, I consider this a Triborough tax, because effectively it's costing us extra money. The Triborough tax is costing the taxpayers of Burnt Hills $550,000 a year. The New York State School Board Association recently looked at all the teacher contracts across the state, and collectively, this Triborough tax is costing us $93.5 million a year. We have to fix that. We're the only state in the union that has that, and there's no reason why we're doing that. The last item I want to touch on today is local control. Local control comes in so many different facets, and this is where a lot of the bigger areas are when it comes to unfunded mandates. One is in special education. Now, special education is tough because these are folks that have special needs and deserve to have the same quality education as other students and be as equally prepared for success after high school. But yet how we deliver special education should be something school districts can decide and not be set by the state. The way it works today, we are now spending more than $10 million on special education than we were just a few years ago. If the trend continues, we'll spend more on special education in Burnt Hills than the entire budget that we're going to put forth in front of our voters by 20 years from now. We hire really smart, dedicated, caring professionals in the district to care for these students, and they know how to identify and assess their needs and address them. Let's let our teachers do their jobs, and let's not have it be mandated by folks over in this building. So WICS, Triborough, local control, collectively, this would provide billions of dollars of either additional funding or additional services for schools at no cost to our taxpayers. I applaud you today for being part of this rally. This is a very important message. And when somebody comes up to you in the future and says, how can we improve education? Tell them, stop unfunded mandates now. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John.